What is up, everybody? Today I'm going to be showing you the best things to do to grind offline in Beesmas in Bee Swarm. So basically, this video is just going to show you everything you need to do to be able to maximize the amount of honey, gingerbreads, and all the things relevant to Beesmas when you are offline. And that will include macroing. So this video will have a macro tutorial that will get you the most amount of snowflakes you'll ever see in your life. So stay tuned if you want to know how to do that. So first, before anything, macroing is really important, and I would agree, but let's get some of the manual tasks done first, people. Mainly, the first thing you're going to want to go for is the gingerbread house over here. It's a fairly easy quest. All you have to do is feed some of your bees some treats and collect some blueberry and strawberry tokens, and you get this little gingerbread house. It's been here around every single Beesmas, and basically is what it does is it gives you these gingerbreads every hour, and so basically while you're macroing, it'll just generate them, and they're really important because if you look inside of Bee Bear's catalog, which is the Beesmas shop, you can see it is required in a lot of things you can buy. You see this night before bundle, all this stuff, even going down to the very last things being these skins and these super smoothies. So you're going to really want to stack up on these things, and as you can see, and so you're basically just going to want to do it. And guys, when this thing is built, don't just walk away. You actually need to go on it and collect the first gingerbread, or else it won't passively generate them until you grab that first one. So make sure to do that. And now, before we get to the macro, getting all of these special Beesmas Bear quests done with you getting their specialized perks like the honey wreath is going to be really important, because the macro I'm going to be showing you today, being the revolution macro, aka the AI detection macro, it's pretty phenomenal, honestly. Actually has a Beesmas setting where it will collect every single event related reward, including the Beesmas stuff, and I will show you how to access those settings. So first, you're going to want to hop into the Revolution Macro Discord. I'll put the link in the description, and you're going to want to scroll down here and just download the Windows or Mac version. And on Windows, you're just going to basically download it as regular and open it. And if there is a Windows Defender warning, just ignore it. That just means they haven't signed their application yet, which means they have to like pay money. And when, you know, it's a non-profit company that's making a macro, they're usually not going to spend money. So it just could be verified. So don't be worried about that. I've made a lot of macro videos in the past, and honestly, people get nervous and comment a lot because the blue window pops up showing that it could be a potential virus, but that's just because it's not verified. But they leave the source code and everything in the Discord as well, so you can skim through that and know that it's safe. But when you do get the macro open, it should look like this right here, and this pretty much is going to be the main part of it. And I'm going to show you the best settings for if you have specific quests or are just trying to make honey during Beesmas. But first, let's just go over the basics. So this is your gather window. Basically, this is just going to be the window showing you what you are going to be currently doing in the status right here, along with the field you'll be collecting in. Then if you click this boost icon right here, it shows you everything you have in your inventory. This will not pop up unless you start the macro, and then it'll like load your inventory. But you don't really have to worry about that right now, as it's not super relevant. Then you can go down to the settings, and this is going to be a pretty important part as well. Now, the things I would change is if disable gathering is marked blue, make sure it's off. Obviously, that just kind of limits your amount of honey you're going to get. Inactive honey timeout, make sure that's 10. Same with your full bag timeout, make sure that is 5. Have your sprinkler type on whatever sprinkler you have. If you have the diamond sprinkler or the supreme, make sure to be using that, especially the supreme, just because of how good it is. Sprinkler spacing just basically means how many studs apart the sprinklers are going to be placed next to each other. So if you follow my directions and you are in a tight space while macroing, make sure this is set to a lower number. I have it at 12 right now, but honestly, I could put it at like 4 or 5, so you get more pollen generated in your area. Now, this setting right here is if you're in the pine area. It basically uses this cannon to get you back to spawn quicker. because a fun fact about this macro is that it actually, instead of killing you, brings you back to your hive to give you your honey, which gets you more. And just that's a faster way of doing it, but it does cause more glitches. So just depending on what you want, you can turn that on or off. Now, if you go to the AI gather settings, we have a bunch of modes, models, and FPS settings right here. The FPS just basically means how many times per second it's going to be checking for tokens on the ground like snowflakes and boosts. So the higher the number, the longer. So basically the higher the number, the shorter it will take to detect that. It'll just put more of a strain on your computer. The useful model is basically a fail-safe option if the regular default macro doesn't work on your computer. So this shouldn't really be on unless you're having problems. The loot mode will go specifically for non-boost tokens like snowflakes and fruit. And the eco mode is basically more efficient for your computer, but does have a bit worse collection with the AI tokens. So if you're really trying to grind tabby tokens like I am, it's really something you're not going to want to turn on because you're going to be sacrificing snowflakes and all these boosts that you could be getting. Now, if you switch over this token priority tab, this basically just means when the AI sees all the tokens on the field, the one token that's at the top of the list will be the one that it will go for first if it sees a bunch of them at a time. So always have token link first at the highest priority of any of your tokens, because token link grabs all the tokens in its vicinity, which means if it's grabbing that one, all of them get collected, so there's no more to collect, which means a less chance of tokens being missed or despawned. Then I would go Baby Love second, as it gives you better loot luck. So if you're kind of digging up stuff in the fields like leaf piles, or with the new blooms, if you're catching blooms, it'll just give you better loot. And then it's kind of up to you what you want next. You could do Bear Morph at third, just because it gives you a pretty good boost if you have the Bee Bear. But these two at the top are the main priorities. Now onto the Collect tab. You basically have all the dispensers in the game, and make sure you have bosses killed like the coconut crab if you do have this coconut dispenser on. Same with the glue pass, just because sometimes if you do not have one gumdrop, you won't be able to get the glue, which is kind of rare, especially if you're using a macro. But just to let you know, if you don't have that stuff, you'll basically be stuck in an endless death loop, especially with the coconut dispenser. And then I really wouldn't have Ant Pass on, but you can. It's just not necessary. Same with all the other stuff if you have a full inventory of it. The best things to have on, though, are the Wealth Clock, the Blueberry and Strawberry dispensers, just because of how commonly you kind of need those materials. Now onto the Beesmas area. This is what I was talking about before, where you can basically turn these on and it will collect all these special rewards that you get from Beesmas. So if I turn on the honey wreath, that means every 30 minutes it'd go over and collect my honey. Same with the candles, lit art, and everything else. Now with the bug runs, this kind of is dependent if you have Panda Bear quests or quests that require you to kill certain enemies. So if you have these and it is a large amount of enemies, like you need to kill 25 spiders or something that would take a long time, have this on, but really only have it on for the specific enemy that you're going to need to kill, because that means every time you're going to gather and it knows that a bug that you're supposed to be killing because you toggled it on has been able to spawn, meaning like the timer is up, it'll just stop gathering and go kill that enemy, which is going to waste your time collecting honey. So really only toggle the enemies that you're going to need to kill, which is the ones that will be on your quest list. Also, make sure to put in your monster respawn percent, which basically is the amount of time cut off respawn times because of certain buffs and tools you have, usually given to you by Panda Bear or special events. Now onto the quest area. You can now do every single quest in the game, which is pretty crazy. Well, when I say every single quest, I mean every single quest that's actually relevant, being the brown bear, black bear, polar bear, Riley bee, and bucko bee, which are the main ones that are going to give you those really hard quests that are macroable. And so if you want, you can have every single one of these on. That does mean you are sacrificing the amount of honey you're going to be getting, because you're going to be traveling to multiple fields at a time. So if you are a blue hive and you have brown bear and black bear quests on, you might be going to red fields, sacrificing the amount of honey you could be getting. And like I said, the gather interrupt setting right here is basically like the bug run settings, where if you are gathering in a field and it knows that your power is up to do your brown bear quest, it'll just stop gathering and go do that quest. Now, like I said, this could be really beneficial if you're just trying to get the quest lines done, or just trying to get red extract or blue extract or whatever you need for crafting. But as it is Beesmas, you might want to be allocating your time to something more useful like getting snowflakes. Now, in the buffs category, we have three main things: the sticker stack, Mondo Chick, and the HQ boosters. First, the sticker stack, if you did not know, is basically this little building contraption thing over here. Most players know what it is. It was added quite a while ago. It basically allows you to add a random sticker from the amount that you have into the stack, and with it gives you a bunch of boosts along the other stickers that you've put in. And it actually has a achievement line that is used in quests, so you really want to be using this thing to get the achievements so you can get through certain quests. Like right here on the Science Bear Beesmas quest, I just need to get one sticker stack badge, so that's how you can see it could be useful. Now, if you have it enabled, just be careful, because if you have special stickers like Cub Buddy skins and you have it on the use stickers category right here, it will use your Cub Buddy sticker. So I would heavily recommend you to just use tickets. And honestly, it's not that many. And again, the gather interrupt setting right here just means every however long the buff lasts for. So mine lasts for around 18 minutes. It will just go over back to the sticker stack and refresh it. Now onto the Mondo Chick. This is kind of finicky for me and for a lot of other people, but if you are really trying to get mythic eggs or really rare drops from Mondo Chick overnight, this could be really useful, as it will just go around multiple servers and keep killing Mondo Chicks because they progressively get lower. So it just means you're going to be able to get all the Mondo loot you can within the amount of time that they all spawn globally. Again, the gather interrupt, if you're gathering or macroing normally, it'll just go and kill it and then go switch servers. The kill feature means it's going to be staying in mountaintop ready to kill, not be waiting for it to die on its own. The AI battle setting just means it's going to use AI vision detection to see where the Mondo Chick is on the field so it can avoid it, along with collecting vicious bee boosts to kill it faster. Also, the buff time just basically means how long you're going to stay on the field to receive a certain amount of time of the Mondo Chick buff, which is actually really beneficial for macroing. And now the last setting, the HQ boosters. If you didn't know, these down here are the HQ boosters. You just kind of go in it. For the red fields, it just gives you boosts for red fields. Same with blue fields, and the regular field booster is for all fields and actually gives you a larger boost. So if you have these on, and I usually have most of them on, it's just good to have in case it'll go on to the field that you were macroing at, so you get extra honey and pollen. You can use this setting down here as well to only specifically gather from boosted fields that it generates. So if it generates a pine field but you have it specifically on pepper, it won't do anything. Only when there is a pepper that it generates, it'll go to the pepper field to go macro there. Now in the miscellaneous category, Honeystorm just means you're going to be activating your Honeystorm as often as you can offline, and then gathering the honey tokens is pretty simple to understand. It's just when you start the Honeystorm, it'll go over and gather as much honey tokens as you can, which is pretty good for the honeybee quests if you do not have the line completed. And for the sticker printer, which is just basically a sacrifice structure where you sacrifice eggs into it to generate you stickers, Cub Buddies, or Hive skins. So it's not really that useful, only if you're a trader. But if you have it enabled, you can just put it on whatever egg you want. I would just do basic if I were you, but I don't really use it that much, so I couldn't tell you with full confidence. The planters this is the planters category. Basically, if you want to gather a specific kind of nectar, you can fill out kind of a form that it gives you to do auto planting, which is run by its AI. And if you're leaving your computer on for more than 12 hours at a time, it's pretty useful. It'll just basically go over to the planters that you planted, take out however much nectar you wanted it to, and plant it in other fields. It's really not for the loot that you get from your planners, just more for the nectar so you can macro more efficiently in certain fields. And for quests if you are trying to get a certain amount of nectar or vials for masks. This is the status setting. It basically is just a larger version of this status bar right here. But also you can get your webhook URLs for your own macro Discord servers in here. So when you are not at your house and you have your phone on you, you can look through your Discord server on your phone and it'll basically tell you how far along your macro is, showing you how much honey you've made and what items you've gotten. I would really only use webhooks because bots are just really annoying to use and sometimes are a little bit more finicky, while the webhooks are pretty simple to do and usually do not cost any money. Now these are the tools, which are just basically stuff that you wouldn't really macro with. Specifically the first one being the auto jelly, which just means if you hover over a bee slot, it'll use royal jelly until it is a certain type of bee. Now, Beeswarm already has this option in the game where it'll just spam through a bunch of your jellies, but this one does it actually one at a time. So for some people, they might think it's a little bit more lucky. So if you really want to use it, just enable it and set it to whatever you want. Being it stops on gifted bees, mythic bees, or it needs a mutation with the thing that you use the auto jelly on. This is the Vic Hop menu right here. I'm kind of skipping ahead because I will get to these two in a little bit. But basically the Vic Hop is just basically going to be scanning for servers that have vicious bees in them. And you're just going to be going and fighting vicious bees pretty much the whole time, going in night servers. It's really only for stingers, so if you're a red hive, this is pretty useful, but if not, it's not really that big of a thing that you're going to be using. And I won't really go into it that much just because this isn't really the video to really go over on. The Mondo Hop, I kind of explained in the other Mondo setting. This is just an addition to where it'll just hop to servers that still have Mondo chicks inside of it. The server hopping is just joining and hopping servers to find yourself special events that are happening along the server list, whether it be honey storms, meteor showers, etc. Now the tadpole sync is just basically for blue hives where it's just going to go and use your tadpole bee in certain servers with your alt. This does obviously require an alt. Basically, you and your alt will just go into one field and spam your tadpole abilities to maximize the amount of honey you can get, because you can actually collect other people's tadpole bubbles. And here is where you can set up all your alts. This is kind of a new thing coming to Beeswarm where you can have multiple accounts in one macro, and it's something I would get into another video just because, like I said, it's not really something relevant to Beesmas. If you're still here or skipped to this time mark, I applaud you. I know that was a lot of yapping, but now let's get into the important stuff where we can finally get you some snowflakes and a bunch of honey. So if you are not specifically going for quests, I would really gather on Mountaintop, as it is a pretty wide field. It is square, and it also has the Mondo chick on it, which does mean you're going to be getting the Mondo boost. And if you have the Mondo settings where you're not hopping servers and have the AI avoid settings, you're not going to really die to it that much. So this is the main field for Beesmas I would really be farming at, because it also generates a good amount of snowflakes, and I usually get 100 to 300 every couple hours. Now for the actual settings, you're going to click this little mark right here, and this bar is going to show you how long you're going to stay at the field / the intervals. And if you click this infinity symbol, it just means it'll run until you need to go back to your hive and fill up, or if you are interrupted by quests or bugs. This max backpack right here just means that at a certain % of your backpack pollen filled, it'll go back to your hive if you use the walking method right here. Or if you have the kill method, it'll just kill you. Now for Beesmas, if you're trying to max out on honey, I would click this little walking button, because that means it'll actually travel back to your hive and try to get you the amount of honey that you deserve. But if you click the kill button, it'll just reset your character so you can go back up to farming, which is usually better for quests, as quests don't really want you to get honey per se, as they just want you to get pollen. Now there are two kind of settings for this length, width, and distance here. I would always recommend you being in the middle for Mountaintop, because it is a square field, which means it is just the best. Along with that, there are no walls for you to stick next to, so being in the middle is going to be really important. Now, if you are scared of your character falling off the map, set the length and width to 1 and the distance to 3 so you can go a little bit outside that perimeter. But me personally, I have this distance set to 0 and I have the width and length set to 4, which just means it creates a little box in the middle of the field that I travel around. And then outside that box, if there are tokens, I will obviously grab those and travel back inside. Also have this setting on size and have your setting up here to AI gather, which just means you're going to be using AI to gather all the tokens that you need. And since it is Beesmas, if you have any other field that you want to macro in, you click this add field button right here. For example, I'll do strawberry, and I would actually have your collection method all the way down at the bottom at the AI gather so you can get as many snowflakes as you can. And also have your max backpack at 97%. It's just kind of a sweet spot, what most people consider to be the best number. But all the other settings are kind of up to preference. I would usually have length and width at the same number so it creates a square. It's the most efficient. Have distance to 0 if you don't want yourself to be going outside that square besides collecting tokens. Have return method to walking if you want honey. Kill if you just want to get the pollen. And any of these arrows are dependent on looking at a bird's eye view from this point on the map. So if I'm looking towards this cannon right here from a bird's eye view, if I created a box right here with the arrows, that's the point of view the macro looks at. So if you have it here, it's going to go in this top corner, here, this top corner, here, bottom, middle. But me personally, I just have it in middle all the time if it's a square field. But if there are specific walls where I can kind of hook myself onto, I will just do the corner of that wall. And a quick little FYI, for right now, Revolution doesn't have any Beesmas spare quests available because some of them aren't really that macroable as they require some actual attention to the game. So just follow those directions that I gave you for Revolution. It is by far one of the best macros. It's pretty much a contestant with Natro, which has been really going off for multiple years, but is kind of lacking now because of the lack of the AI system that Revolution has, which is just honestly crazy and amazing for Bee Swarm and the Beesmas event because you can get all those snowflakes. So if you like today's video, please like and sub so I can make more vids like this. Pop a comment in the description of what you'd like me to cover next, whether that be your favorite game, tutorial, what you need help on. And if I like it, I'll pin it. But that's it, and I'll see you on the next one.